saw it with Fernando, who did get in the points on Sunday. But you don't want to have half your garage packing up before Sunday and twiddling their thumbs on race day, just waiting for some pit stops. So it was a shame, but at least he's back. And as I said yesterday, he has great form around this circuit. Even if he dinged the wall yesterday, I still think there's a chance of points for Stroll tomorrow.
Let's go back to the pit lane now. Laura's made her way to Red Bull.
Yeah, hiya, me again. I'm just outside the garage of Yuki Tsunoda. Yesterday, he said, I know there is something coming for tomorrow, which is good. That gives hopefully a bit of lap time here. Free lap time, and that is the car being upgraded to the same spec as Max Verstappen. So keep your eye then on the timing sheets and how Yuki Tsunoda beds in with this new upgrade. Yes, it's brand new and it's on there and he's hoping for free lap time, but he's just got the 60 minutes. Well, less than that now because he's a bit late out, isn't he? But he's just got this short amount of time to get used to the upgrade on that car.
That's the upgrade that was introduced to the car in Imola, and then a big crash in qualifying in this cost cap era. Can't just chuck money at the problem. of Champions. One of those where you know it's not been a crash and you're not sure how. Oh.
To me, it just seems like he's just so not at one with the car. We saw him have the spin on the first lap yesterday. This is in his early couple of laps today on the soft tyre. The track grip is low, and this exacerbates issues. If you're not feeling comfortable, you don't know where the limit is, then you're under driving, and then the next minute you're having these big snaps that's costing you heaps of time or resulting in a crash or a spin. And it looks to me like he just doesn't know really quite where the limit is. And when you're not getting the feedback, you're not feeling where you can brake, how aggressively you can turn in, you're just chasing your tail the whole time. And I just don't see a driver that has anywhere near the confidence he had last year.
Let's send Fernando Alonso in the direction of the Wall of Champions, and the 2012 GP2 champion is standing next to the Wall of Champions. Davide Valsecchi, here he is.
So guys, it was colapinto because we were right here and we saw an Alpine lose the control at the exit of this corner and almost hit the barrier, and I think it was very lucky. So exit of the last chicane, probably the most difficult section. You wonder why, because you are coming from the very long straight, 330 kilometers per hour, then you shift down the gear until third, and you need to be so aggressive on both curb and try to open the throttle to use the speed at the exit to arrive to the finish line. Incredible important section. Wow. I would like to underline that last year, Hamilton, that was 8th, he lost the pole and lost the top position only by 2 tenths. Oi! Tsunoda too wide. Did you saw it? Stroll on the push lap. Tsunoda think that he was preparing himself to have a good exit to push for the next lap. He lost the rear, he almost crashed. Extremely tight is going to be the quali, and so every inch of this circuit will be extremely important for the chrono and to set the fastest lap time. I mean, we chose this place because yesterday we saw 2 crashes, Leclerc and then Stroll. This morning, in the Formula One Academy, Path had the crash during the race 1 in that barrier, and so we choose this place to see action, and we are loving it. Back to you, Alex.
We certainly are. Thank you, Davide. So many cars getting close to reactivating Davide Valsecchi on commentary.
The fun thing about that spot is whether someone's on a push lap or a slow lap, they're always pushing through there because you're either finishing the lap or you're preparing the next one. And the way to tell easily is to see if they cut to the right-hand side and drive the shortest distance to the line, as Leclerc just did to go top, or if they move quickly to the left to prepare the first corner on their next flyer.
So that was Oscar Piastri, and now we move from Lewis Hamilton to Charles Leclerc, and now back to Oscar Piastri, showing you all the onboards going around the grounds here. It's terrific, showing you all the cars. We used to do that on the Pit Lane channel back in the day. We used to tab through, show you how everyone's race is going on. There's not a lot of room on the outside for Oscar Piastri, who moves up to 4th position, but still behind Stroll, Alonso and Charles Leclerc, who missed basically all of yesterday. Let's try to work out how we've never seen that angle before, with Davide at the final chicane, and it's only recently that you can stand there because the commentary boxes used to be there, used to be built at that point. They've knocked them down, mainly because they were falling down in the last couple of years. Commentary boxes are now above, so there Fernando Alonso decided he's going to get nowhere near the Wall of Champions, rejoins the correct way. Yeah, the commentary hut used to be where Davide is now standing, and it gives us another great trackside view of the action as Lewis Hamilton heads into the corner that we've been discussing. They're moving around a lot, considering it's FP3.
Yeah, it's just fun to watch these drivers hustling on in cars that are having to be really, really driven. Every corner they could spin out, the rear grip looks just so limited, and even Hamilton there at the end of a first push lap on the mediums had to slide. Let's see what happened to Alonso then, why he cut through. Yeah, just realised that he was in way too deep. And that's the thing, if you're caught in two minds, you launch that curb trying to make the corner still that you're never going to get to, and you find the wall.
No rear grip today.
And Alonso, as a former champion, has never hit that one, has he?
He's hit one
You've
further.
jinxed it now.
Yeah.
That's it.
He's never hit that one. He's hit that one in the past when he was in contention.
No rear grip today.
Tipped into a spin there by Button.
Jensen Button was extremely lucky to get away with that one.
He had the most ridiculous race. Contact with Hamilton as well in the Grand Prix. He was at the back, all the pit stops in the last lap win. You kind of forget all the moments that he had early on. It was torrid for him. Ended up winning.
It was an amazing Grand Prix, that one in 2011. If you've never seen it, just enjoy what is, I think it's officially the longest ever Formula One Grand Prix in terms of the time we took from the formation lap to the end. Can't go 4 hours anymore. It's a 3-hour window to find ourselves. That's Lando Norris is twitching all over there. He skipped over that chicane a couple of times yesterday, and he finds himself moving up to 6th.
Yeah, the thing is, even when they're committed to the corner, then they find they've got this oversteer, that everyone's struggling with the rear grip, and it just puts them a few inches closer to the wall. And there was not a lot of margin there for Norris. You almost need to, at this stage, bank a little bit of margin to the wall, because the drivers don't have the confidence in the rear just staying, and as soon as it doesn't, as soon as you have a slide on the front or the rear, today and this weekend, it's mainly the rear, you are just hopping wider than you want. As we see Piastri coming through.
Oh my word, that's a tap. That is a tap into the wall for Oscar Piastri, who immediately backs out, and they've been getting closer and closer and closer. And Davide Valsecchi has seen that, and a spin that brought out the yellow flags before this moment for the championship leader, Davide.
Yeah, was incredible, because we were standing. Wow, you can feel the speed, I think, from here. It seems that I think Norris or Piastri, probably Piastri, went too wide. He crashed into the barrier, and we can see some of the part of the car really in the track at the moment, because what.
Damage, I don't know if it's a puncture or the suspension. Okay.
Feel the speed from this side, because there are almost nothing between cars and barrier at this moment. We saw a spun before of one of the Kick Sauber, and then hitting the barrier Piastri. So was pretty amazing and a bit scary, to be honest. Over the debrief, or Verstappen or Tsunoda. Full gas Hamilton. I mean, best place in the world, Alex. Best place in the world.
You know it's intense down there. When that is Davide's reaction to a spin. Let's be honest, we wanted that to happen. Deep down, we wanted to see Davide Valsecchi's reaction to something dramatic happening, and he got two incidents. The spin for the Sauber, followed by the World Championship leader clipping the barrier. He's got a puncture. The wheel rim is damaged. He is heading back to the pits. You can see the puncture now at the back of the right rear. He's bringing it back, having seen drivers move around on the exit this year way more than previous years. They've all been at risk of doing that. And as they ramp up, heading towards qualifying, a spin and then a tap of the wall right in front of our trackside reporter, Davide Valsecchi.
These are really big moments as well. We were with Oscar, weren't we? We're just in Lando get closer. We were with Oscar, and we're going to see Nico Hulkenberg. He's going to be in the sound for having the spin, is he? Down at the chicane. Oh, he's taken a lot of curb there, so he's gone through. Oh my word! How has he got away with that?
So lucky. To be fair, I was just looking out for Davide.
Oh, shaves the rear wing down.
That's incredible. Coming through the back and then the front. The scrape. One.
Oh, well, we're so lucky. Spun at a chicane.
Yeah, copy. We cleared the wall, correct?
There's a bit of damage on the wheel wing end plate.
The front and the rear both brushing, and he's got away with it. He's got it back to the pit, and they can work on that. He'll get back out again, I'm sure.
Oh, well, we're so lucky. Spun at a chicane.
Yeah, copy. We cleared the wall, correct?
There's a bit of damage on the wheel wing end plate.
areas, but never by enough that it cost him significant track time. He always managed to get back out, even in FP2 where he went fully in at Saint-Devote and managed to get the crucial track time. It's so important not to lose it right now. If he'd have hit that slightly harder, buckled the suspension as we saw Stroll do yesterday, his session's over. He's got only one flying lap on the board before he heads into qualifying, and it's a massively advantaged Norris. But the fact that he's got away with maybe just rim damage and a puncture will mean that the team can check it over, he can recalibrate, and rather than have a confidence-sapping moment and a rebuild, he can get back to it and find that groove again before qualifying.
The red flag is out. The clock continues to tick down as per the regulation. The brilliant marshals of Montreal are out on the circuit. And Alice, it is reminiscent a little bit of Monaco. Monaco, across the entire season so far for Oscar Piastri, was the Grand Prix where he was chasing it all the way through practice. And in the end, that's when Lando Norris was able to take pole position and convert it into his maiden Monaco Grand Prix victory.
It was, but doesn't look like that's going to happen again this weekend, at least for McLaren. They're just having a big struggle, aren't they? Lando down in 7th place at the moment. He's been on the medium tire. Of course, this is FP3. We don't know what fuel loads people are running, etc., etc. But it's not looking great. And Charles Leclerc, hats off to him. He's missed free practice 1, missed free practice 2. He's done 9 laps. He's got on the board, and he's top of the timesheets.
He's an obscene talent, isn't he? Really. To jump in and do that, he went out early. He has done 9 laps. Only Franco Colapinto, who roared past Laura at the start of the session, has done more. So he's been busy, but nonetheless, to get back to the top of the times, having missed nearly 2 hours of running, it just shows the natural talent that Leclerc has. And it is pretty difficult probably for Hamilton at this time as well, he's done 1 lap less than Leclerc, so maybe on the next one he'd find 3/10. It's possible. But even then, he's got no advantage over the teammate that's done no running this weekend. And you think when you're struggling a little bit, you're trying to find form, your teammate hits the wall, not great for the team, but it could be good for you individually to step up and lead the team. And Hamilton has just found his teammate quicker already.
Let's go downstairs to the pit lane. We're going to resume in 45 seconds. Laura is at McLaren.
This is the scene then at the garage of Oscar Piastri. They're just checking front right, but a lot of work obviously being done at the rear right of the car after that hefty whack that Davide just saw. Pure drama down on the Wall of Champions. Oscar Piastri will be hoping to get back out as soon as he can onto the track. They're looking at some pretty urgent work there at the rear of the car, with a pretty busy queue here waiting for green light conditions once again.
Thank you, Laura. There is Oscar Piastri. We have a green light at the end of the pit lane. This lot about to pour out onto the circuit. And we've got 32 minutes of prep time left then before qualifying. Qualifying that's playing a huge role with these cars at the end of the regulation era. Sea change in the technical rule book for next year. As a result, everyone's been trying to claw back all of the time that they lost with the reset in 2022. The cars are much harder to follow. One point I've been trying to make, thinking about making, and then something's happened because it's been such a dramatic set of practice sessions all the way through the weekend, is the point that George Russell, on pole here last year, very, very strong performance in very cool conditions, is running a reintroduced suspension for Mercedes. So this was originally brought in Imola. They weren't happy with the results that they were seeing, felt for the triple header that they needed to remove it. They brought it back. The main thing that they're trying to cure on that car, remember last year they brought the front wing, and they were trying to seek answers, trying to improve the drivability of the car. The new suspension at the rear of the car is designed to help tyre management, because they've got a temperature sensitive tyre issue with that car, which means when it's cooler, it's able to be competitive. When it's roasting, they're just not able to compete in the same way. But also mechanical grip, and mechanical grip around Montreal is huge. So Mercedes, on the evidence of yesterday, having an excellent time with the new suspension at the rear of the car.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't look bad. I have to say, in Imola, Russell had great 1 lap pace. He qualified in the top 3, but it was the race pace that was really bad for Mercedes that day, so it didn't cure the race pace. They took it off, and now they're giving it another go in circumstances that obviously favour Mercedes compared to some of the recent races as well. Obviously, the cooler temperatures and a circuit that's a bit kinder to them and has been over the past as well. And Russell just looks so comfortable. This is his first lap of the day, and he sets the fastest middle sector. He did just one lap quickly on a medium yesterday. It was the quickest of the day. He can get in and get a tune out of this car, whereas everyone else is trying to find laps, trying to find time, build into it, trying to put 14 corners together. Russell's just singing off the perfect hymn sheet that Mercedes have given him.
Completing the lap now, George Russell going out on that soft tyre. Wasn't sure which was going to be the best out there, and then he had Lando Norris over his shoulder when Lawrence was interviewing him, and so that was the end of any coherent answers that we got, and it descended into enjoyable nonsense. Fastest middle sector of all for George Russell, but it's fourth for him. Antonelli is in 13th position. Lando Norris goes into second using the medium tyre on the McLaren.
Still think the medium looks... I have pumped for this medium tyre every time it's on.
Every time we've had the C6,
yeah.
We've been running the three softest compounds.
So that is Imola, that is Monaco, and that is now Montreal. The C6 introduced this year, and every time it just looks quicker. Leclerc top, Norris second. Okay, Alonso's done a great job on the soft, and it's not a slam dunk, which is why we often see still most of the qualifying laps on the soft. But whenever anyone has put on a medium, it's basically looked pretty quick. And some teams have actually done a better job, including Aston Martin massively in Imola. And I'd be sure that they'll be lining up a medium qualifying as well, which is why Alonso's getting through the soft at this part of practice. And it's an extra layer of conundrum that the teams really don't need at this point to try and work out what is the qualifying tyre. Normally you'd know, we'll go to qualifying, we'll bolt on the softs, we'll do this sort of setup tweak to make the most of it, and you don't have to worry about it. But here, trying to work out what is your qualifying tyre is a bit of a riddle.
Do you think that's just it's because it's easier to get into that window? We talk about tyre windows all the time, and track temperatures aren't crazy this weekend. Air's only 20 degrees. Do you think it's just easier then for the drivers to get this medium tyre into the window around here?
I think the medium tyre certainly is a better tyre. It's a better working range for the tyre, but also the softer tyre seems to be almost too soft, sort of structurally. It's moving around a little bit, and actually the medium's giving the drivers just a better platform to lean on the car and have a predictable response, whereas the soft, there's kind of a little bit more movement in the rubber on the tyre that I think is not giving them as great a feel for it all the time. The pole laps have still been done on the soft, so it's a very marginal difference. And Pirelli weren't expecting the C6 to be light years better than the C5, but they certainly were expecting it to be better than this, I think, when it was introduced for this year.
Well, it's introduced a strange dynamic to qualifying Saturdays. A little bit of variation, never a bad thing. Let's send it back downstairs, the pit lane with Laura.
Thank you, guys. Do you know, in a week in which Jolyon Palmer has welcomed his first child into the world, I'm absolutely loving how buzzed he is about a medium tyre. Commitment to the job, that's what we like to see, Jolyon. I'm going to do my last tip from here before diving out and letting you guys enjoy all the action as things get fast out there on track. I just wanted to show you the Haas front wing, of course, commemorating their 200th race. Really lovely feature. I had to show it to you as I wandered past. They've got the name of all the current staff across the entire wing here on both wings of both drivers there. You know, we see Komatsu, Ollie Behrman, Esteban Ocon, but this just really recognising and celebrating the fact that there is an army behind those two drivers out on track, making things work for Haas.
And Laura, you're going to read every name for us. In the
Are we not?
Sure. Here we go. Adam, but no, surely.
I
At
thought
this
that was
point
going to
in FP3, we don't need time to fill, boys. There's plenty going on track.
Laura, you realise when you bring a human life into the world, it puts things into perspective. And seeing now the C5 being this close to the C6, it hits different, I'm telling you.
Does it? Oh,
Yeah.
Jolyon, I'm thrilled for you, honestly. I can't wait for qualifying. That gamble, you'll be 11 out of 10 all session.
Always am. Always am. What do you say?
Yeah, sure. No, 100%. 100%. How sleep deprived are you?
I'm getting by. I'm getting by.
He looks all right. He looks all right. He doesn't look that sleep deprived.
Lovely.
Every time I drive this car, it feels totally different.
Alex Albon going over the road at turn 8, rejoining after turn 9, and reporting variation out there. So we've heard Fernando Alonso say no rear grip compared to yesterday. Max Verstappen was chasing things with the balance of the car, goes past the wall of champions. Personal best, sector 1, sector 2, climbs up to second place, but behind him on the racetrack, we've got George Russell going very quickly in the middle sector. Lando Norris was fastest of all in the first sector, and on that medium tyre, he's 4/10 clear of the rest of the field.
Russell's on a flyer this time around as well. 25 minutes left of the session. Still, the drivers are all on their first set of tyres, so there will be more qualifying sims coming up. Russell went out late, as did Verstappen, and Max jumped up to third. George had a very decent first attempt. Now, with that information in mind, he goes out and finds another heap of time to get to the top of the times.
Finds himself 0.04 of a second ahead of Norris, and he set that time at exactly the same time on track as Kimi Antonelli, 0.7 back, much closer yesterday. And this is Isaac Hadjar.
So that's 2 flying laps apiece for Russell and Verstappen, and it's half a second that Russell is quicker.
I'm still lacking bite, brake material. It's still good.
Yeah, Verstappen I don't think is particularly happy in the Red Bull. That was an issue that he had yesterday.
I'm still lacking bite, brake material. It's still good.
Having the feel, especially over the bumps and trying to get that deceleration. We saw Albon not quite get it into turn 8 just earlier on, and it's important to have that feel on the brakes, and Max isn't particularly happy, and George seems absolutely at one with the car.
Hadjar was jumping out of the way of Alex Albon, which is why he was taking a slightly unusual line. Ollie Behrman very close.
That's too close, surely.
Find Jolyon his favourite graphic.
Give us a graphic.
Up to 9th for Ollie Behrman in his first full season of Formula 1. Haas running retro colours this weekend to celebrate their 200th Grand Prix in the World Championship. That's happening tomorrow. They had a starring role in last year's race, running on the full wet tyres at the start, getting past everyone, and then it went back to intermediate running. But they had fun cameos 1 year ago. They'll be hoping for more of the same thing. Top 10 at the moment for Behrman. Ocon down in 15th position. So Russell looking very, very comfortable. Meanwhile, Ollie Behrman not too comfortable with the margin on the exit.
There's a touch. There's a touch. Here we go. Give us the graphic.
Let's have a look.
Wait for it.
Oh, obscured. Obscured. Let's send it back down to that chicane with Davide Valsecchi.
Guys, I would like to underline 2 little details. The things that makes the last chicane so iconic and so difficult, while Norris, wow, is that is first of all the approach. When you are on the main straight, the full speed is not easy to see this curve, the inside one, because it's almost blind, and so you can see it only the last time. And then is the curve. Look, the sausage curve on this side while Verstappen is coming. Boom, boom. You need to get close to it, but you need to miss it by almost nothing. You can be quick without risk and having the problem that unbalance your car and you risk to hit the barrier. So, 2 little detail that maybe Jolyon and Alicia knows even better than me. The first part is blind. The second one, you cannot be too extreme on curb. If not, this sausage curb unbalance your car and you ended up in the wall like we saw it before. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Davide.
That is the problem with these chicanes, and that's why we've seen so many drivers go through the runoff, because if you start to attack and you're carrying too much speed, you have to plonk your car over the sausage curbs, then you launch, and then you find the barriers. So Davide is absolutely right. You want to get right up to them, because otherwise you're leaving too much margin, and as ever on a street circuit or a temporary track with barriers lining and big curbs, the more you can take at the apex or the exit, it rewards you. But there's peril with those curbs as well.
Lewis Hamilton, fastest of anyone on the medium tyre, 0.05 of a second ahead. The man who's got the joint best record around this circuit with Michael Schumacher, finding himself the fastest middle and final sectors. And Ollie Behrman with a hairy moment. Looked hairier on the onboard.
Yeah, I still think there was enough space there, wasn't there? But you catch yourself out when you did 200 miles per hour and you're not expecting someone to weave towards your path. And Behrman there almost finding the grass and avoiding Fernando.
Hadjar static on our driver tracker, and that's the reason why. Isaac Hadjar joining the Colapinto club of going round at the second turn. It's a great a big cheer for him pirouetting round. George Russell wants that sorted out, and it is no drama of a red flag that would interrupt this lap. Fastest first sector and second sector, the man who was very strong in practice yesterday, picking up where he left off, on pole here last year, looking really good heading into the final chicane.
Yeah, it doesn't look delicious at this part though, just having to fight the car through the apex and towards the exit of the hairpin. He's rapid through the first parts, and he's quick enough, isn't he, through the final sector as well then. The drivers are so pushing, getting close to the barriers. Piastri back out and finding time as well. I'm actually amazed. That's the first time I've seen Russell not look completely hooked up, but the time is still there for him. Even though he's fighting the car and washing slightly wide, you think that's going to compromise his exit, but not really.
The rear gets away from Isaac Hadjar, and the crowd respond with an ooh. This is what it looked like on board.
Tiny lock-up as he was coming into that corner.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
No worries, we're trying.
Just loose. Same spin as Colapinto, but earlier on, that one wasn't really throttle induced. That was the flick into the right-hand side, and the car just starts to let go on him. But it's a nice place to have a spin. It's low speed, you don't even damage the tyres too much there, and you can get going.
Max Verstappen pushing on again on a soft tyre, so getting multiple laps of attack out of this Pirelli rubber. Past Davide he goes into the final chicane, officially turns 13 and 14 of this racetrack, and he comes over the line, and he's half a second off, but still setting competitive times on that soft tyre. He was pretty happy yesterday with FP1. Felt the balance got away from them in FP2. Felt a bit less comfortable in the car. Overall, he called it a positive day. If we can get it back to what it felt in FP1, we will go well across the weekend. His remarks after FP2 yesterday. Speed trap graphic is at the bottom of your picture. 206 miles per hour. Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. George Russell on 205, as we've seen from Piastri and Albon. Sainz currently ahead of Albon, 8th and 9th. Williams looking to return to point-scoring ways this weekend after the disappointment in Spain. Ollie Behrman hoping for his 4th point-scoring finish of the season by the time that the checkered flag waves on Sunday. For our 10th round of the campaign. 10 rounds out of 24. We're going to have 24 again next year. Calendar announced in between the Spanish and Canadian Grand Prix. Correction there at the hairpin for Ollie Behrman.
Finding the same oversteer at a similar time to even the quickest car out there. Behrman on the soft tyre. Albon out there trying to improve as well just behind him. Let's see how Behrman fares through the final chicane. How close he can get to those sausage curbs. In a margin there's less margin to the wall, and he does just keep it to the right-hand side now, maximising the speed across, and he does that because he's got 6. It's a tidy lap from Behrman.
Alice Behrman, when he gets it in the working window, is able to find the top 10 with 1 lap pace, but it's getting that car into the working window at more racetracks that he'll be aiming for. We've got a direct comparison now with Ocon heading to the final chicane.
Yeah, it's something they've struggled with all year, haven't they, so far? So, as you said, Ocon now, we're going to have a good comparison. It didn't want to turn in there, did it, into 13, Jolyon?
Looked like a 4-wheel slide from him, really. Looked like the rear was coming round, but the fronts were hopping wide as well, and lost plenty of time there. That's a new set of softs for the Haas cars, by the way, so that's why they've leapt up. Williams went later and also have a new soft, but they've only done 1 run in this one. So that was Haas on their qualifying sim. And yeah, Ocon just didn't look at all dialed in as he turned into the first part of this final chicane. Let's see what the Sauber looks like with Bortoleto. it looked really calm for the first right hand, and then the left hand there suddenly got loose and almost pitched him towards the barrier. So I was thinking, well, he's underdriven this, and then woof, there's the moment, and nicely scooped up.
The incident involving Fernando Alonso and Oliver Behrman has been reviewed. No further investigation, because by the standards of this weekend, there's quite a lot of margin between the two cars. High speed. Carlos Sainz currently P10, improving Sector 1. 20.2, 22.9 in the middle part of the lap. And final part adds up to 6th place. And again, after that run, gone again, and he finds himself ahead of Alex Albon.
Klaxon, identical time.
It's happened again. That's for everyone who follows us at every practice session on F1 TV. The identical time klaxon. Sort of nonsense we're going to have to drop, I think, next year. Like you're not allowed your get on with it button anymore.
I used it too much, didn't I?
Right, on board with Lewis Hamilton, master of this circuit. Took his maiden pole position around this racetrack. 2007, converted it into a maiden victory the day after. We're on board with him, hustling the car through turn 2.
Sounds like he's on the limit of rear locking into the first corner as well over the bumps there. But this is soft tyres now for Lewis. He's done a great job on the mediums. The car looks quite lively on the front end, but it's not massively loose at the rear. Obviously, the new softs giving him plenty of grip, and that is the fastest first sector so far. And it does just look good. He's got the confidence now on this tyre, and he's able to squeeze on the throttle through that right-hander, which is quite tricky through turn 7. And we'll get a middle sector time coming up shortly. Sweeps through 8 and 9. It's looking quite aggressive on the front, but calm on the rear, which is perfect for what we've seen so far this weekend.
Scrub the speed off, rotate the car through the hairpin at turn 10. He knows how to take pole position around this circuit. He's done so on multiple occasions in his career. 6 times, 7 times a winner. McLaren haven't been on pole around this circuit since Lewis Hamilton put them on pole around this circuit in 2010. That's how long it's been for McLaren, and that's how good Hamilton has been time and time again around this circuit. Through the final chicane, he's missed out by a 1/10 of a second, but he's in the hunt.
Like for like with Lando Norris and McLaren. Same tyre, same time on track, and fairly close to the first couple of sectors. Hamilton quicker in the first, Norris quicker by a bigger chunk in the middle. Still drifting it on that rear that's just falling around through the chicane, but it's quick enough to take Norris to the top. Quarter of a second then up on Hamilton, with Russell splitting them and George only having done that first run.
So Norris finding a bit of time in the middle sector and a bit of time in the final sector. Very, very similar in the first corners of the racetrack for Norris and Hamilton. That is the difference at the moment. Hamilton has not started in the top 3 for a Grand Prix with Ferrari since he joined the team at the start of the campaign. Has taken a sprint pole as Antonelli goes over what looked like a little bit of debris. Not sure what was on the racetrack that he was making his way through at the final chicane. Either way, Antonelli finds himself in 8th position with that time on the board. Personal best for him in the session. Oliver Behrman is the driver heading to the final 2 corners of the racetrack. That's 13, that's 14, and that's a tap into the wall. That's when Antonelli was making his way through.
And the graphic for that. My word.
Here's the clue that he's too close to the wall. That subtle hit.
Yeah, sorry, I touched the wall. I think it's fine. The car is a nightmare though.
Well, it will be now.
At least the graphic was right.
My word. How is there not a Haas parked up there in 5 pieces?
Someone's going to have an enormous late 90s style cream into the barrier at some point.
Yeah, sorry, I touched the wall. I think it's fine. The car is a nightmare though.
Dancing on the edge more than we've seen in recent times.
So Hülkenberg absolutely fluked it through there to just skim the front and the rear wing, which was incredible. But Behrman didn't even fluke it. He hit what looked like pretty hard on the right rear and the rear wing. And somehow the strength of that car is sufficient that at high speed he's able to drive it back.
And that's why we were so surprised yesterday, Alice, when Lance Stroll hit the barrier and the suspension folded, because we're used to seeing that in yesteryear, but not with this current build of F1 car.
You took the words right out of my mouth. It was just around about here, wasn't it? It was a strange one yesterday from Lance Stroll. Like you said, Alex, just brushed the wall, and it all folded in. So let's hope that he doesn't venture into the Wall of Champions. It might be a different story for him, but a fairly decent lap for Max so far. The Red Bulls haven't done many laps. Yuki Tsunoda's still in the pits, Jolene. He's only clocked 7 laps on the board, down in 19th place.
Yeah, he's just around the medium tyre as well, so checking the car over, and he should, I mean, surely he'll get out again for a run on the softs. This is Max's first flying lap on the soft tyre, so like for like with Norris and with Hamilton. Another one.
You could hear the backing out of how he wanted to push. 0.4 of a second away from the benchmark time set by Lando Norris.
I can't remember. Every year we come to Montreal now, and it's like, who's going to find the Wall of Champions? Who's going to crash? And I said yesterday, who was the last champion to crash? I think it was Jacques Villeneuve in '99. Driver to crash in the race. You don't get too many these days. Kevin Magnussen crashed in qualifying recently, but yeah, qualifying you get a few more as the drivers are absolutely on the limit. But this weekend, they are all playing with fire. As you've said, Hulkenberg, Behrman somehow getting away with it. Verstappen there swapping his way towards that wall as well. Had to back out of it and lost a bit of lap time. I'm on the edge of my seat watching every single time we jump on board for a car coming through those final 2 corners.
Well, we've mentioned it in recent years. We always mention the Wall of Champions. It's a nice quirk. It's got nice history attached to it. But we haven't seen this level of brinkmanship up against that part of the circuit for a while. The cars, of course, getting quicker and quicker in this regulation set. So since we introduced the ground effect era back to Formula 1 at the start of 2022, we're getting faster and faster and faster on the stopwatch. But they are all over the road. Brilliant entertainment for us. Could have a massive impact in qualifying. If someone strikes that wall at the wrong time, you've had a poor first run. Given how close it's been, given how high the track evolution is going to be, if someone is clobbering the wall, it could be not just bad for the driver that hits it, but bad for so many that don't have a chance to get their lap time in at the very end. That's Fernando Alonso about to go over the line. Wait for it. Looking for a green Aston Martin. There it goes, 8th fastest. And Alonso finds himself in the top 10, which is something he's managed at the last 3 Grand Prix qualifiers.
There are plenty of drivers out there on circuit now, 17 out on track. We're still waiting for Tsunoda, as you say, Alex, to show really what he can do in this session. Time's starting to run out, so I wonder what's going on in the Red Bull garage there for Yuki. But, plenty of other drivers are out there on circuit. There are quite a few that are not finding big chunks of time on the soft tyres. George Russell's done a lap on the softs and hasn't managed to find that time yet. Charles Leclerc did a great lap on the mediums earlier on, didn't he? Got straight down to a sensible pace and hasn't managed to improve on that yet either. So I'm waiting to see if they'll come on a second flying lap and manage to find that window as Antonelli improves. But he's a driver that looked really encouraging yesterday. Did a 12.4, which he's not even matched with a second lap there. And everyone else has massively surpassed the pace of yesterday. 3 or 4 tenths were quicker. But Antonelli's gone slower. 3rd quickest yesterday, and now he's on the edge of the top 10, whilst Russell still looks like a threat for pole.
This is on board with Pierre Gasly in the Alpine. He's heading to turn 8, and he's got cars in the way.
Fantastic. I start to really be off with these guys, like, what the are they doing?
Yeah, I'm pretty frustrated as well. It's all right, let's settle down.
That's going to have a big effect in qualifying, especially in Q1. And actually, it was his teammate as well that was in the way. Lewis Hamilton was also saying, come on, mate, let's not dawdle through that corner, and ended up getting in the way of Gasly as well.
Colapinto's, the communication that
Fantastic. I start to really be off with these guys, like, what the are they doing?
Yeah, I'm pretty frustrated as well. It's all right, let's settle down.
Lap, and was combined with Hamilton's frustration there at Colapinto. Gasly then had his own coming up just moments later.
Lance Stroll scored in 5 of his 6 Canadian Grand Prix appearances, and the white flag is out for the slow-moving vehicle of Lewis Hamilton. He's building up in a few moments on board with Lance. It's like the 80s like helmet design for his home race. And he comes over the line. He's got the 15th fastest time. He's only made one appearance here in Q3 out of the 6. 5 of those times he's made it to the top 10 by the end of the race, and the checkered flag waving. So Oscar Piastri had a lot of incidents considering it's been an FP3. We've had a spin for Hulkenberg. We've had a spin for Hadjar at turn 2. Piastri damaging the right rear, getting a puncture, damaging the rim, but crucially able to get back and still compete in the session. But across the broad stretch of this entire season, Piastri is on the back foot compared to what we've seen with Lando Norris, and Piastri, who has out-qualified Lando Norris so far this year, 5-4. George Russell hitting the curb and having to catch it on the way out.
Tsunoda's back out there now. He's a brand new set of soft tyres, so we should see what he can do.
This is like Monaco now, isn't it? Where you have a crash right at the end, and a really promising weekend can suddenly be turned upside down. And Russell there, just leaning on the tyre, and again through the second apex. A lot of them are getting it through the right, but then as they turn it left and have the rotation, as Piastri starts to fight the rear through turn 9 there, then the car's just getting squirrely on them, and they're having to correct. Verstappen had it, Russell had a similar thing, and they're just not able to keep it planted and get out of that final corner. And there's the jeopardy of the wall on the outside, and you know, we're in the last 5 minutes of FP3. If you give that a big whack right now, you're not going to be qualified.
Piastri carries on. Charles Leclerc's got a personal best in the first sector. Ferrari driver who hasn't started higher than 10th since 2019 in this Grand Prix. Just a horrible run of engine penalties and poor calls at certain times, and he'll be hoping at the very least to replicate what he's got at the moment, which is a 5th place finish. He's only been the second car on the grid for Ferrari on 2 occasions so far this year, but one of which was the last Grand Prix in Spain when Hamilton was ahead on the grid. Over the line we go with Fernando Alonso to climb up to 5th position, ahead of Charles Leclerc, ahead of Oscar Piastri. As Tsunoda goes over the line, personal best all 3 sectors, he's still in P20. Lando Norris, we join him now as he's lighting up the time.
Tsunoda's well down on laps.
And Yuki Tsunoda, according to race control, has been noted for a red flag infringement. So we saw penalised heavily with Oliver Behrman in Monaco, and that has been noted, and they'll be reviewing that. Did Tsunoda obey the rule book when the red flag was out earlier on for Piastri clipping the wall and leaving debris at the final corner?
It does surprise me why Yuki... I mean, I'd love to know what's gone down at Red Bull, but he's a driver at the moment after having that big accident at Imola, and we know that second seat at Red Bull is not the easiest one to be in. He's a driver that just seems to need laps and build up confidence, and even Max is clearly not feeling confident in the car. And okay, it's Yuki's first proper push on the soft tyre, but still, he's over a second off his teammate and down in last place.
He'll get another lap before the end of the session, and you're right, he absolutely needs it to try and find some confidence and some feel for the grip and the setup before heading to qualifying, to see if he can get out of this doldrum phase that he's in with Red Bull at the moment. Verstappen manages to improve on a later lap as well, so that, I mean, whilst it's not the easiest for Max, even on a tricky one, he's up in the top 4, and he's going to be, you'd have thought, on the front couple of rows, and that's what the top teams would expect. If you have a car that you want to be at least in the fight for podiums, and at the very least, if it's a tricky car, get back to some points for the second driver. But Tsunoda again is having a difficult time. He has lost a lot of time in the garage in this session as well. So you see him in the background here lining up one more attempt before the checkered flag.
Antonelli improves up to 7th place. He's finding time with every lap that he runs. On board with Oscar Piastri. He finds himself on the back straight once again. And he's the championship leader by 10 points, heading into a critical qualifying session with margins so close between him and Lando Norris so far this year. You see the wall's taken an absolute battering. They have to replace the Tech Pro at the end of the session, which is coming your way in a minute and 15 seconds. This is Pierre Gasly looking for a clean lap that he didn't get a couple of minutes ago.
I think we have to say, Piastri's struggling this weekend. McLaren don't look like they're in a different league to anyone at the moment. Norris is just about getting to the top of the times, but we have seen better sectors from others, including potentially Charles Leclerc at the end of this one as well. But Oscar has been solidly behind his teammates so far, and when the field is this tight, he's got to sort something for qualifying, otherwise this could be a big turnaround.
Nice lap time for Pierre Gasly, and the same applies to his good friend Charles Leclerc, who moves up within a 10th of a second away. Who needs Friday practice? Go and see Montreal, do a bit of shopping, enjoy the old town. He has found an absolute barrel load of pace there, and after his crash into that barrier on the left-hand side yesterday, called it a silly accident, wasn't happy.
Too many mistakes.
He's still not happy with it. Still thinks there's more time in the car.
The problem is that's what happens if you miss so many laps on Friday. You find it harder to piece the lap together, but his natural talent is just making him very quick whenever he gets in the car. He's got a feel for grip. He's happy to get close to the wall. Sometimes it bites him more than some of the other front-running drivers, but he's able to just give it everything whenever he's in the car, and he's unlocked the pace of that Ferrari once again. We said it yesterday. When he was in the car, he was top, and he was really quick, but he was only in it for 10 minutes. He's back in it now, and can Ferrari be contenders later on?
They're good over the curbs, aren't they? Ferrari have always, when it's one type of corner, that Ferrari is fine. When it's multiple types of corner, chasing the balance, it's the same thing that the Red Bull team have been struggling with. Chasing the balance through different types of corner, and it changes things. Verstappen over the line there, he's only 0.2 of a second away. So Verstappen in 5th, 0.2 of a second away. Last year, Fernando Alonso lined up P6 for the Grand Prix. He was only 0.2 of a second away from pole position. It looks like we're all set at the end of practice 3 for another barnstorming qualifying session to set the grid for the Canadian Grand Prix. Multiple teams involved as well. Great to see.
It's impossible to drive. Okay, copy.
Imagine if he had a car he was happy with.
It's impossible to drive. Okay, copy.
Fernando, you're within half a second of the outright pace. It's obviously he doesn't necessarily know that. He's just feeling himself slide around.
Yeah, and Yuki, he did get another lap in, but he didn't really go much quicker. And I was just looking at the sectors. Sector 1, which runs from the start-finish line all the way just before turn 6, he loses 1 second to Max Verstappen.
It's incredible if you consider the corners that he's negotiating. That is brutal for Yuki Tsunoda. The driver who's been as high as 5th on the grid, got that call up for the 3rd race of the campaign, but another driver proven in Formula One, struggling to unlock the combination that is the modern Red Bull. And waves to the crowd for Charles Leclerc, who will be much happier with his practice outing on Saturday compared to Friday. He's in the mix as well. And the McLaren is quick everywhere we go. The Ferrari we saw in Monaco, one type of corner, how effective it can be. Recent years, the Ferrari's always had good mechanical grip. You need that bucket loads around this circuit. George Russell on pole here last year seems to just be so comfortable behind the wheel. Lewis Hamilton with the amazing track record, and you're never going to count out Max Verstappen as well. Really, really intriguing top 5 that doesn't include the championship leader.
So you like the identical times?
Always a fan.
I'm always a fan of different teams in the top positions, and we've got 3 different teams in the top 3 and 5 in the top 6, with Fernando Alonso and the Aston Martin getting up to 6th as well. And I do think this is the most wide-open qualifying session of the season so far. Mercedes look really quick. Is George Russell the man to beat right now? Or will it still be McLaren and Norris by the time we get into Q3? I wouldn't rule out Leclerc. Hamilton's looked like he's got a turn of pace as well at times. Leclerc will only build into it from here, though, and I think he's definitely a contender. And then you've got Verstappen. I think Max is on the back foot here, but he's Max Verstappen. So you just really never know. And as you said, last year, nothing separated 1st and 2nd. Literally nothing. 200 separated 1st and 3rd.
was brilliant last year. I hope we're going to get something very, very similar in a couple of hours' time. Last year, it's only the second time since 1982 we had a dead heat for pole position. So it was an amazing session then. Can we get super close times at the very front of the field in Q3? We always have a really tight battle to make it out of Q1, to make it into Q3 as well. And that is the look over the lake in the middle of the man-made island. Round 10 practice in the books. Lando Norris fastest by all of 0.07 of a second. Encouraging times though for Lando, given that he had a clean session, unlike his teammate. Charles Leclerc in second, George Russell in third, Lewis Hamilton fourth for Ferrari after all the talk, rumour and speculation at the start of the weekend. Second and fourth will do them very nicely. Max Verstappen in fifth, and it is Fernando Alonso, Kimi Antonelli and Oscar Piastri who tagged the wall at the last chicane.